reflecting on the suffering of samsara. The mind has no permanent abode, like a merchant who travels here and there. The body has no fixed form, like a house one dwells in temporarily. The number of bodies I have taken exceeds all the specks of dust in the universe. The tears I have shed in farewells surpass the waves of the four seas. The bones that were once mine pile up higher than a mountain. The heaps of my previous corpses can cover the entire earth. Our restless mind cannot settle down, like a merchant travelling from place to place. Our bodies have no fixed form, like houses one frequently moves into and out of. Throughout countless kalpas of rebirth, the dust motes of the Chichilocosm could not equal the number of bodies we've inhabited. The waves of the four oceans could not compare to the tears we've shed in separation. The skeletons we've left behind could tower above the highest mountains. The corpses we've discarded could cover the entire earth. While alive, people cherish their bodies, concerned with their cleanliness and dignity. But at death, all dignity vanishes. The body turns cold like ice in an instant, and without any awareness, one departs for the next life. Consciousness is driven by karma, without autonomy. The Sutra of the Incarnation of the Bodhisattva states, "For countless kalpas, I have undergone birth and death, leaving one body behind and taking up another, never escaping the cycle of rebirth. Reflecting on all my past lives, if I were to count only one form and disregard the rest, just the lifetimes in which I was reborn as a white dog, the bones would exceed 100 million Mount Sumerus. Were the whole earth sown with sharp needles, not one would fail to strike where a body of mine once lay. How much more so for the lifetimes in which I was reborn as dogs of other colours. Their number is beyond measure. Therefore I tame my mind, free from attachment and indiscipline." The Sutra on Alleviating Sorrow states, "When I was reborn in the hills, I drank molten copper, more than all the water in the oceans combined. When I was reborn as a dog or pig, I ate filth, an amount far greater than the mass of Mount Sumeru. Throughout the cycles of birth and death, the tears I shed in parting from loved ones would overflow even an ocean used as a vessel. In conflicts with others, the heads I lost, if piled, would reach beyond Brahma's heaven. When I was reborn as a ravenous worm, the sludge I consumed would fill the great ocean of milk completely." These verses are from the sutras. Their general meaning is clear, so we will not elaborate further. Why is every form of suffering we experience immeasurable? Our cycle of rebirth has no beginning. Since beginningless time, we have undergone countless reincarnations. For this reason, every type of suffering we've endured is immeasurable. When we reflect on the past, present, and future, samsara is a boundless ocean of suffering. Falling into this ocean is pitiable. Samsara, by nature, is nothing but suffering. How could there be any genuine happiness? All attempts to seek happiness within samsara are as absurd as seeking for fragrance in a toilet. Sentient beings cling to samsara. How pitiable! Among countless beings there are the wise, the Buddhas. Through countless kalpas of practice, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas finally perfected their wisdom and transcended the ocean of suffering. In the beginning, all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas were also ordinary beings, just like us. Therefore, we too should gradually progress toward liberation. Whatever fame or gain is not worthy of our attachment. Some monastics are strange. Despite having renounced secular life, they cling to temples, fame, and gain. They don't understand the purpose of monastic life. Such monastics are pitiable and may even fall into hell. We must keep in mind that we renounce worldly life to strive for liberation from samsara. Nothing else matters. We should be mindful of impermanence and avoid clinging to temples. As long as there is a place to practice, that is enough. Of course, to make the authentic Dharma flourish for a long time, we build monasteries with the support of lay devotees. Therefore, our monasteries should focus on listening to and meditating on the Dharma. Everything else is unnecessary. For monastics, having food to eat and robes to wear is enough. When lay devotees make offerings to the three jewels, they accumulate merit for their future spiritual practice, because one will eventually become what one reveres and offers to. By gathering this merit, when you later renounce worldly life to practice, others will also support you. This is the fruition of your past generosity. Not everyone can become a monastic. Monastics have supported the three jewels over countless past lives. Hence, they now have the opportunity to renounce worldly life genuinely. Some people join the monastic community to make a living, lacking the necessary merit. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, out of compassion, allow them to plant a wholesome seed. Though they may not sincerely renounce worldly life now, even a few days in monastic robes are beneficial. In the next lifetime, they may make offerings to the three jewels. Through such cycles repeated over many lifetimes, they will eventually devote themselves sincerely to the Dharma path. This is often how the journey unfolds. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have great wisdom and far-reaching vision, so we should not confine our sight to the present. With boundless compassion, they accept all kinds of people and embrace all circumstances. As practitioners, we should reflect on ourselves. No matter how others behave in the Buddhist community, even if we perceive their fault, from the Buddha's perspective, everything has its purpose. To liberate sentient beings, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas guide all kinds of beings, and all their actions serve a purpose. So, don't be concerned about whether others are genuine practitioners or not. Genuine or false, Whoever you encounter becomes a condition aiding your path. When you see others not practicing earnestly, you should practice even more diligently and generate bodhicitta to liberate them. Therefore, in practice, everything depends on oneself. Seasoned practitioners can embrace and understand everyone they encounter, as all circumstances are arranged and manifested by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, embodying their great compassion. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, with boundless compassion, help all beings equally. Even if someone experiences monastic life for only one day, it is beneficial, as they have planted the seed of Buddhahood. Without hearing the Buddha's discourse, who would ever hear and see this truth? Without reading the sutras, who could ever understand and awaken to it? If we remain bound by attachment and delusion, we will repeat the same mistake again and again throughout countless kalpas and lifetimes. Had we never heard the Buddha's teachings or read the sutras, who could have witnessed this endless cycle of birth and death across countless kalpas? Who could have realized the interconnection of ignorance, karma, and suffering? If we remain attached and deluded as before, I fear we will make the same mistake over and over again throughout countless kalpas and lifetimes. Why is it that without hearing the Buddha's teachings, one cannot perceive this fact or realize this truth? We are obscured by karma, lacking the ability to recall past lives and the divine eye to see future lives. With such limited vision, we perceive only this present lifetime. How could such a narrow mind discover the workings and principles of cyclic existence governed by the 12 links of dependent origination? The Buddha, the omniscient one, perceives that all sentient beings have been caught in the cycle of birth and death since beginningless time. Based on this, he taught that all contaminated phenomena are suffering. Only by relying on the Buddha's luminous teachings can we realize the truth of cyclic existence and recognize the suffering of the endless samsara. The Buddha's teachings are excellent. However, without the roots of virtue, even the most intelligent person will find it difficult to comprehend them. Attachment corresponds to craving and grasping in the 12 links of dependent origination, the causes and conditions that bring about rebirth. Delusion refers to mistaking samsara, which is inherently suffering, as a source of happiness, and viewing the cycle of birth and death, which is ultimately meaningless, as meaningful. Repeating the same mistake again and again means that one error gives rise to 100 errors. We should transcend samsara, yet we cling to it. This is a mistake in direction. Because of this attachment, we remain trapped in the cycle of birth and death, repeating the same mistake again and again, like one who is caught in a torrent tends to be swept away endlessly. When renunciation arises, it feels interesting. When you look at samsara, you have no desire for it whatsoever, just like watching the life of ants. all sentient beings are essentially the same. Due to our clinging, things seem meaningful, but in reality, nothing in the world holds real meaning. When we form habits and develop attachments, we regard these habitual patterns as meaningful. This is the way of sentient beings. Deluded attachments create this world. This world is an illusion, like a dream in which we are caught. When we awaken, we will find the entire universe is illusory, shaped by our karma since beginningless time. The world arises, stays, decays, and vanishes. All sentient beings undergo birth, aging, sickness, and death. Nothing in the Dharma realm escapes this fate. We should contemplate deeply during meditation that samsara is inherently meaningless. It only appears meaningful because of our clinging. Clinging is nothing more than a karmic habit. When you don't cling to something, it becomes meaningless. Are things we don't cling to meaningless to us? Consider the stones or pebbles on the street. You'd deem them meaningless. Would you find meaning in what you don't cling to? No. Even beggars wouldn't want them. Even hungry ghosts wouldn't crave them, because they hold no meaning for them. But as long as you cling to something, you perceive it as somehow meaningful. This is how sentient beings in samsara cling to each other, give birth to one another, and undergo cycles of reincarnation. Of course, as long as we have attachment, it is hard to break free. Since beginningless time, we have repeated this cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death, life after life, forming ingrained habits. Now, if we are suddenly told to let go of samsara, forsake all worldly attachments, and transcend the cycle of birth and death, it seems extremely difficult. However, we must awaken our wisdom and recognize that this cycle is endless. We have been trapped in it for countless kalpas, yet our situation remains unchanged. Among the unfortunate, we are the fortunate ones. In this degenerate age, among so many sentient beings, we have the opportunity to hear the Buddha's authentic teachings and learn the methods to transcend samsara. This is a blessing amid adversity. We must cherish this opportunity in this life. Otherwise, who knows where we will end up in the next life? If we don't practice earnestly, it will be nearly impossible to meet the Dharma in the next life. Even over hundreds of thousands of kalpas, it is rare to encounter the Dharma. How could such a chance come easily? If we don't change our current state, will we really repeat the same mistake again and again throughout countless kalpas and lifetimes? In the past, due to our attachment to samsara, we have undergone countless cycles of rebirth. If we don't reverse this pattern, then, according to the infallible law of dependent arising, we will continue to repeat the same tragedy. That is, if we fail to develop renunciation towards samsara, fail to realize non-self, and continue clinging to cyclic existence as before, then, due to craving and grasping, future rebirths are inevitable. Moreover, while clinging, we reinforce this habit. As a result, in future lives, we will continue undergoing rebirths due to attachment. Hence, even after hundreds of kalpas and thousands of lifetimes, we cannot attain liberation. Chan Master Zhongfeng's poem states, "After kalpas as numerous as atoms, still more kalpas as numerous as atoms follow. Even if every atom were counted, the kalpas would not end. All because of a single thought of clinging. We remain trapped in the endless cycle of birth and death." After counting kalpas as numerous as atoms, there are more kalpas as numerous as atoms. Even if all the atoms were counted, the total number of kalpas in samsara could not be measured. Because we failed to let go of a single thought of attachment in the beginning, we bound ourselves to the endless cycle of rebirth. As long as you have a trace of clinging, you have a trace of bondage. Thus, you cannot escape samsara. Moreover, attachment will grow continuously. The Flower Ornament Sutra states, "You should reflect that to satisfy your desires, you have wasted all your past lives. Now, to strive for supreme enlightenment, you should uphold pure precepts and eradicate all desires. You should contemplate that you have wasted all your previous lifetimes in pursuit of the 5 desires. Now, to seek the unsurpassed enlightenment, you must uphold the precepts properly and uproot all desires." Worldly beings, driven by attachment, try every means to possess what they love. Letting go is difficult for both men and women. Men devise countless strategies to pursue the woman they love. Women employ every means to keep the men they love. This is how it is. Desire is the root of samsara. The 400 verses on the middle way states, "In the endless future, you will remain an ordinary being, just as in all your past lives. Therefore, do not continue like this." If we continue clinging to worldly life, we will undergo endless cycles of birth and death in the future, just as we have remained ordinary beings throughout our past lives. Therefore, we should learn from past lessons and release our attachment to samsara. Human life is difficult to obtain, but easy to lose. This precious opportunity passes quickly and is hard to regain. On the dark road, once separated, we will not meet for a long time. Unwholesome karma that leads to the 3 lower realms brings inevitable results. One reaps what one sows. The suffering is beyond description. Who could bear it on our behalf? Even mentioning it brings chills to the heart. This precious human life is like a udambara flower, extremely rare to encounter, yet easy to vanish. The precious opportunity to practice the Dharma slips away in an instant, and once wasted, it is hard to regain. Once we lose human life, we will fall into the dark lower realms. unable to regain it even after hundreds of kalpas and thousands of lifetimes. As the patriarchs often said, once we lose the human life, it is difficult to regain it even after 10,000 kalpas. At that time, we have to endure the excruciating retributions in the 3 lower realms alone, with no one to share the pain. Speaking of this, how can we not tremble with fear? The advantage of humans lies in our intelligence. We can reflect on the Dharma, unlike beings in other realms who lack this capacity. Those in the 3 lower realms have almost no access to the Dharma. They cannot absorb or understand it. Celestial beings, too, rarely encounter the Dharma. In the form realm and above, the Dharma is seldom heard. In the desire realm, only very few beings have the chance to hear it, but they don't practice it. Some Buddhists who are reborn in the heavens retain the habit of listening to the Dharma. There, the emanations of some Buddhas may expound the sutras to them, allowing them to plant some roots of virtue. However, they hardly engage in actual practice. Exceptions are 3rd stage arhats who enter meditative absorption in the 5 pure abodes of the form realm. These abodes are not for ordinary beings. They are the realms of arhats of the 3rd stage and above, who have attained liberation from samsara and are free from suffering. It is like climbing a mountain. Very few reach the summit. Most fall into the abyss along the way or linger on the path, unable to let go. Upon hearing this teaching, we should cherish our human life, for such an opportunity is extremely rare. At the very least, we should be able to maintain clear mindfulness at the time of death. Even if we may not attain arhatship and immediate liberation from samsara, we must ensure that in our next life we can renounce worldly life early, learn the authentic Dharma, or be reborn in the Pure Land. We should at least reach this level of attainment in this lifetime. Otherwise, we might end up creating unwholesome karma in the next life. Many people accumulate rich merit in this life, only to commit grave misdeeds in the next. At that time, they may have power and influence, hang out with wicked individuals, and become entangled in power struggles. Among those with wealth and status, most create unwholesome karma, while few practice virtue. Therefore, in this life, we must earnestly cultivate renunciation, bodhicitta, and the wisdom of emptiness. We should ensure that at the time of death we can at least maintain mindfulness, with most negative karma purified and no major misdeeds remaining. Ideally, we should be able to renounce worldly life early in our next life, which requires great merit, or attain rebirth in the Pure Land. In either case, this life will not have been in vain. We must strive to reach this level in this lifetime, and then we will be free from fear. Even if we haven't attained ultimate realization, we will be close to it. Though not yet free from samsara, we will have confidence in our liberation. Even if we take rebirth, we will not be afraid, for we can continue to practice the Dharma and help beings. By renouncing worldly life early, we can make spiritual progress while benefiting countless sentient beings. How wonderful! We can rescue them one by one from the ocean of suffering. This is a meaningful endeavour.